Hello liners, thank you very much for your visit to Channel Transmission Lines Engineering TV, to this chapter number 6 of the series What in the World, in which we will see the regions of Greenland, Iceland, Alaska and Hawaii. So let's get started with Greenland. Greenland is a large island of over 2 million of square kilometers, but it's a low populated region. However, the fact of not having a large population, that doesn't mean that it's a region which has to be left out of the equation of the task of electrification, since there are very important communities in this region, such as the communities of Nuuk, Sisimiut, Alset, Qaqortoq, Osage, Manistoc, Tasiilaq, Paamut, Narsaq, Nanortalik, Umanak, Upernavik, and Qosigaarnuq. The energy history of Greenland is not very extensive as other continents, but it's very remarkable. At present, there are 5 hydroelectric plants in operations, but the big problem of Greenland is the lack of a transmission line system capable of transporting the energy and supporting the regions with each other. Therefore, electrification is more local rather than territorial. Many interesting projects are being studied. For example, turning fish waste into oil fuel for energy generation, as well as domestic waste from construction. The problem with these options is that its territory is not very accessible, making them places so inhospitable, and this is the reason it has been thought about intelligent facilities remotely controlled. Iceland, on the other hand, located east of Greenland, has further energy history. In 1904, the first hydroelectric station located in Hafnarfjörður was built, being the first population to have electric service. Later on, in 1915, small generation stations were installed, which were completely made by hand. In 1917, areas with geothermal potential are discovered. In fact, Iceland is a pioneer nation in geothermal generation. In 1921, the Elliðar power station located in Reykjavik goes into operation. In 1930, the first pipes were built to extract hot water from the ground for domestic use. From 1930 to 1940, there is an accelerated impulse to the electrical industry in such a way that by 1940, the population has complete access to electric service, and in 1950, there are some 530 small generation stations in all over the country. By 1970, a high-pressure steam turbine was built, and the Bjarne Flag power station was built in the lake Mývatn. By 1972 to 1975, 2 hydroelectric stations with large capacity was built as well. From 1974 to 1984, intense work was done to expand the transmission line system throughout the country. Later, in 1976, a large Svartsengi geothermal plant came into service, operating under the basis of lava layers, among many more projects, until the Fjarðarvík plant was inaugurated in 2016. Iceland has been a nation of strong determination to effectively energize its territory to provide this vital service to the entire population. Now let's go to the region of Alaska. Prior to the 1930s, when Franklin Delano Roosevelt assumed the presidency of the United States, The territory of Alaska had very few transmission lines since everything was managed by very small local cooperatives. 9 out of 10 farms lack of electrical service. Since the creation of the RIA, the Rural Electrification Administration, in 1935, the RIA program offered loans to agricultural communities to organize, build, and operate their electrical systems by means of loans in such a way that in 1940 the first official association was created called the Matanuska Electric Association, MIA. During the Second World War, Alaska became a military target of Japan in the cities such as Fairbanks, Anchorage, Kodiak, and Dutch Harbor, and in such a way that the United States required the installation of military bases in the region, with which the electric system was forced to have a rapid expansion. Later, after the end of the war, another project that attracted the construction of new transmission lines was the construction of the Alaska Highway, which helped the creation of more electric cooperatives. Towards 1947, in the city of Juneau, the Glacier Highway Electric Association was formed, and in 1948, the hydroelectric project of Ecolunta was launched, which was the largest at that time. In 1950, large parts of Alaska had electric service, and the Chugach Electric Project was located in the Copper Lake and was put into service, connecting the cities of Anchorage and Kenai Peninsula by means of a transmission line. Both projects are still in service nowadays. There is, on the other hand, sadly, an episode in Alaska history. At 5:46 p.m. on March 27, 1964, the deadliest earthquake in North America happened. The city of Anchorage and the entire coast, including Valdez and Kodiak, lost completely their electrical system, so that the local cooperative, Glen Allen-based cooperative, was completely unable to restore the service, and it was another cooperative that took over, the Cooper Valley Electric Association. Now, more recently, at the beginning of the 1980s, the construction of the Fort Dam Pool project was concluded, which is a system of 4 hydroelectric power stations. The Swan Lake, located in Ketchikan. We have as well the T Power Station, located in Wrangell and Plattsburgh. Another one in Terror Lake, in the vicinity of Kodiak. We have as well the Solomon Gulch in Valdez and Glen Allen. Currently, Alaska has full coverage of its territory to both main cities and the rural areas. Now, on the other hand, and traveling to the mid of the Pacific Ocean, Hawaii's history goes back to a little before 1870, when the king of the islands, David Kalakaua, learned about the new technologies from the American continent. Kalakaua was a firm believer about the potential of electricity and boosted its introduction to the ancient kingdom of Hawaii, which was the foundation of the Hawaiian Electric Company, which was part of the expansion of the electric systems in Hawaii. Kalakaua later met Thomas Edison in 1881, and subsequently a demonstration of electricity was made to King Kalakaua in his own house, and he was impressed how darkness was conquered by electric power. Shortly after this event, in 1886, the first electric system was installed, which consisted of installing a generator to light the palace of King Kalakaua, and with it, the planning of the electrification of the streets in Honolulu was started until it was possible to install the first turbines in the Nuamu Valley plant. By 1890, this luxury happened to spread to more population. In 1894, the construction of the Alakia Power Station was completed, servicing Honolulu with a transmission line to the population of Waikiki. In 1902, a second transmission line of 5 miles was built from the same generation station towards Waikiki to serve the growing hotel industry. In 1910, the Pueo hydroelectric power plant was built, which still stands today. After the attack on the Pearl Harbor Islands in December 1941, the electrical system in Honolulu was placed into a strict system of rationalization of electric power, and the American Armed Forces built 2 new transmission lines in 44 kVs precisely to service these military facilities. At the end of the Second World War, the island of Oahu was electrified, and by 1970, the former capacity of 1960 was double. At present, the Hawaiian Islands have electrification on every island and on all urban and rural communities. So this is all regarding the electrification development on these regions of the world. In the next chapter, we will talk about the electrification development of Australia and Cuba. So thank you very much for your kind visit to this channel. Don't forget to subscribe and leave me your comments on this one. So see you on the next video. Transmission Lines Engineering TV, training to power the world.